Good evening, wanderer. You have crossed the threshold into a realm where the past is not dead, where the shadows remember every soul that ever trembled beneath them, and where nightmares are not dreams but echoes. I am the Nightmare Maiden, your guide, your witness, your storyteller. And tonight we breathe life into a story that once haunted America's forgotten towns. A story that many tried to bury, deny, dismiss. But the truth always returns, especially in places where fear has been feeding for decades. Lean closer now, slow your breathing, still your mind, for this is an American horror story, and it begins with a house that did not haunt people. It waited for them. Harrow Creek lies deep in rural Pennsylvania, surrounded by dense woods, sinking farmlands, and long-forgotten backroads, a place where the modern world hesitated to intrude. At the very end of Harrow Creek Road stood an old Victorian house built in 1889. It was large, imposing, with pointed gables, a wide porch, and windows that seemed far too tall, like the eyes of something standing upright inside. For generations, people avoided it, not because it was haunted, but because it felt alive. The house was abandoned in 1974 after the disappearance of the McBride family. Father, mother, little boy, infant daughter. No blood, no struggle, just gone. Their dinner plates were still warm on the table when the police arrived, chairs pulled out, baby toys scattered, the family Bible open to a page no one remembered reading. No footprints leaving the home, no windows disturbed, no signs of forced entry. It was as if the house simply closed its mouth around them. After that, no one went near it. Doors were found reopened when neighbors swore they had been nailed shut. Windows changed positions between visits. The grass surrounding the house withered into brittle gray strands, while everything outside the gate grew wild and thriving. Children said they heard someone calling their names from inside. Adults refused to speak of it. Animals would not enter the property. Birds avoided the roof. And at night, some claimed the house seemed to lean forward slightly, as if listening. People didn't call it haunted. They didn't even call it dangerous. They called it one thing: the house that waited. Elena Warren returned to Harrow Creek in June, 22 years old, senior anthropology major, a mind sharpened by logic, fueled by skepticism. Raised in the town until age 12, she remembered Harrow Creek as boring, quiet, painfully slow, and full of ridiculous superstitions. She returned only to help her elderly aunt recover from hip surgery. Elena had every intention of spending her summer reading research papers, writing grant applications, and proving, yet again, that fear was nothing more than ignorance wearing a mask. On her second night in town, she went to a diner she used to visit as a child. The same wooden booths, the same old men playing checkers, the same smell of burnt coffee and fried onions, and the same stories recycled endlessly. She overheard two old farmers whispering about the house again. "Saw the upstairs window open again last night," one said. "It's breathing again." Elena snorted loudly. Breathing? Seriously? Houses don't breathe. The old man turned his head slowly, his cloudy eyes locking onto her. "Child," he said, "that place ain't a house. That place is a mouth." Elena raised an eyebrow. "Then it's a hungry one, huh?" The old man didn't laugh. His wrinkled lips tightened. "You mock what you don't understand. And that house, it understands mocking very well." Elena brushed it off. She didn't believe in ghosts. She believed in psychology, environmental explanations, structural acoustics, everything except the supernatural. Her lack of fear was her downfall. A few nights later, Elena reunited with her childhood friends. Harper, soft-spoken, anxious, always chewing her nails. Miles, who had grown tall and quiet, the type who watched more than he spoke. And Dylan, the prankster, loud and bold in ways that hid his insecurity. They sat around a bonfire near the woods, drinking cheap beer and reminiscing. Eventually, the conversation drifted, as it always did, to the town's legends. Dylan mentioned the house again. Elena laughed. "You all are still scared of that place? After all these years?" Miles shook his head. "It's not fear, it's respect." "Respect?" Elena smirked. "For a building?" Harper's voice trembled. "It doesn't want to be disrespected, Elena." Elena stood and stretched. "Fine, fine, if it matters so much. I'll go inside tomorrow night. I'll even record it, and I'll prove it's nothing." This Miles frowned. "Elena, don't do that." But Dylan, of course, grinned. "You really will? 2 minutes. Inside. Alone." 2 minutes? Elena laughed. "I'll stay 5. The woods fell silent. Even the fire crackled more quietly. Harper whispered, "Elena, please don't," but she had already made up her mind. The next morning, Elena stopped at Lawson's Hardware to buy a flashlight, gloves, and batteries. Old Lawson himself shuffled out from behind the counter. "You heading somewhere with that gear?" he asked. Elena shrugged casually. "Just exploring." Lawson stared at her, a long, heavy stare that made her feel small. "You don't explore that house," he said. "Not if you want to stay yourself." She almost laughed at the phrasing. "Stay myself? What, does it steal personalities now?" Lawson leaned in close. "No, it steals everything." His voice cracked slightly. "Fear or age or both. Elena Warren, don't go to that place." She left without answering him, but his voice clung to her thoughts like cobwebs. Saturday night, 11:01 p.m. The sky was cloudless, the moon sharp and white like a polished bone. Elena parked 50 yards from the gate. Her friends waited silently. Harper hugged her arms. Miles stared at the ground. Dylan tried to act brave but kept swallowing hard. Elena grabbed her flashlight, phone, and recorder. "You look nervous," she teased. "I'm not," Dylan lied. Elena walked toward the rusted iron gate. The grass beyond it was gray, brittle, lifeless. The moment her foot touched it, she felt a prickling sensation travel up her leg, like stepping into a room with a turned-off air conditioner that somehow still felt cold. She pushed the gate. It creaked like something groaning awake. Her flashlight flickered. Once, twice, then steadied. "See," she called back. "Nothing to be afraid of." But Harper whispered, "It's awake now." Elena stepped onto the warped wooden porch. Each plank groaned, slow, long sounds that felt almost responsive, like the house was feeling her weight, testing her. A cold draft pushed through the broken boards beneath her feet, brushing her skin like thin fingers. The front door was half rotten, hanging crookedly on one hinge. She pushed it gently. It swung open with unnatural smoothness. The smell hit immediately. Old wood and dust, yes. But underneath, something else. Something metallic. Something like old breath, trapped too long. Something waiting to be exhaled. Elena raised her recorder. "This is Elena Warren, entering the Harrow Creek house at 11:14 p.m. Her flashlight beam stretched into a long, narrow hallway. Peeling wallpaper, collapsed picture frames, a long runner rug covered in gray dust, except for one section in the center that looked slightly disturbed, as if something had walked there recently. Her breath slowed. Her heartbeat quickened. She moved deeper. The air grew colder. Her skin prickled. Her flashlight dimmed. Then she heard it. A soft exhale, not hers, not the wind. Something inside the house was breathing. Slow, steady, deliberate. Her friends outside saw the light trembling in her hand. "Elena?" Miles called. "You okay?" She didn't answer because the breathing grew louder, closer, sharper. She stepped into the living room, furniture draped with untouched sheets, a grand piano in the corner, keys yellowed, body cracked, a chandelier hanging crookedly from the ceiling. Then, a whisper, low, dry, like vocal cords unused for decades. "Elena." Her whole body froze. Her flashlight wavered. "Who's there?" she whispered, voice small. Another whisper slid across the air, brushing her ear. "You finally came." Elena spun around, nothing behind her. Her recorder caught everything, the whisper, the breath, the tremble in her voice. Outside, Dylan stepped forward. "I'm going in," he said. But the moment he placed his foot on the gate, the porch light inside the house flickered on, then off, then on again. No electricity had run to the house since 1977. Dylan stepped back, trembling. A sudden sound thudded above Elena. A heavy step, a dragging noise. Then another step, slow, deliberate, purposeful. Something was moving upstairs. She aimed the flashlight upward toward the staircase. The wooden railing was cracked and flaking, decorated with cobwebs thick as rope. Another step, a long, groaning exhale. The house wasn't empty. "Elena, come out!" Harper cried from outside. Elena backed toward the door. She grabbed the doorknob. It wouldn't turn. She pulled harder. Locked. She hadn't locked it. No one had. Someone or something locked her inside. Her breathing sped up. The breathing upstairs grew louder, then stopped abruptly, as though whatever was above her was now listening. Elena lifted her flashlight toward the hallway, and there it was, a figure, standing at the far end, motionless, tall, thin, wrapped in what looked like a decayed nightgown, its head tilted slightly to the side, as if studying her. Her flashlight blinked. Every blink brought it closer. Blink, 20 feet, blink, 10, blink, 5. Then the light stopped flickering, and the figure was right in front of her. A woman, or the remains of one, sunken cheeks, gray skin, eyes dark and bottomless. Her mouth sagged open, jaw unhinged slightly as though frozen mid-scream decades ago. Her lips didn't move. But Elena heard the whisper again. "You came back!" Elena stumbled backward. "Get away from me!" The woman's head twitched, just once sharply, as if confused that Elena was resisting. Then she smiled, a slow, cracked smile that split her dry lips. Outside, Miles kicked the door. "Elena, open it!" Harper sobbed uncontrollably, covering her ears. Dylan tried to pry the door with a crowbar from his truck. Inside, the woman reached toward Elena with long, bony fingers. Elena lurched backward, tripping over the rug, crashing to the floor. The woman bent over her, shadow stretching across Elena's face like a veil. Then Elena heard it. A heartbeat. Not hers, not human. Deep, slow, ancient, coming from the walls, from the floorboards, from the ceiling. The house was alive, and it was hungry. The woman whispered, "You belong to me now." Elena screamed, a sound so raw and primal that it echoed through the hallway, into the walls, and out into the night. Her friends heard it. They heard her pounding on the door, they heard her kicking, they heard her crying, and then nothing. Silence, complete suffocating silence. The sheriff arrived 20 minutes later. He had been sheriff for 31 years and refused to drive down Harrow Creek Road at night. But he came because the screams reached neighboring farms. When he, the friends, and 2 deputies broke down the door, the house was empty, the dust on the floor undisturbed, the rugs straight, no footprints, no signs of Elena anywhere. Her recorder lay gently on the floor, untouched. They played it. They heard her voice, her footsteps, her breathing. They heard the whisper. They heard the house breathing. They heard her scream. Then a final sound, a long, low exhale. as if the house sighed with satisfaction. And so, Wanderer, that is the story of Elena Warren, a girl who mocked what she didn't understand, a soul who walked willingly into the mouth of something older than the town itself. Some say the house still waits. Some say it only feeds every 20 or 30 years. Some say if you drive past it at night, you might see a young woman standing in the upstairs window, her eyes empty, her mouth open, still trying to scream. I am the Nightmare Maiden, and this world is filled with stories just like this. Stories abandoned, ignored, forgotten, but never truly dead. If you dare, return to me for another American horror story. And remember, houses do not become haunted, they become hungry, and this one is still waiting.